Good morning, good morning, good morning, Law Nerds. It's Friday, March 10th. Can you believe it? I can't either. We're doing a Friday stream. Why? Well, I miss you. We're now used to streaming every day. So we're going to see how this goes and how you like it. Leave me a note in the comments if you're like, yes, we're here for 3 streams a week. Or if you're like, I like the longer 2 days a week, you let me know. I know that you want to be in community and chat with each other, and so do I. And that's one of the reasons we are trying out adding an extra stream. We also have a lot of topics to catch up on since we spent 6 weeks with Alec Murdaugh and the attorneys. So after that 6 weeks, there is a lot of stories to catch up on. Today was going to be a roundup day, but then stuff happened. And so the roundup's getting pushed. I know it's so frustrating. It's like, wait, I was waiting for this story. I promise we have a lot to talk about today. And I know that I'm not going to get to it all if I tried to round up other stories. So we have one little quick bit that is a story I covered ages ago that we need to circle back around on. We're talking about Rust. We were going to talk about another copyright case, but I put it to the members over on Patreon, and what won overwhelmingly was no. Oh, no. We need TikTok psychic updates. We need TikTok psychic updates stat. We need to know what's happening in court. And since there were new motions filed this week, I haven't seen this case getting covered a lot. So I'm here to keep you in the loop. I can't stop this case. This case is so just special that I'm fascinated. I want to know what the court's going to do. I want to know everything about this case. So the TikTok psychic defamation case, we're going to just cover all of those new court filings today. So we will get to a roundup soon. I promise it's going to be on my list for early next week. I won't be streaming as much next week due to family time. But with that, it's Friday. I've got coffee. I've got cursey words. I've got y'all. The Law Nerds are here, and it is time to roll. Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's just roll the intro and chat. I know Fred is resting before he unleashes the chaos. Do you see it? He's like, I am getting ready to unleash the chaos. Y'all keep an eye on him and let me know what he's up to. All right, let's go.
Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, the internet's go-to legal analyst, breaking down the legal side of the pop culture and entertainment stories we can't stop talking about. I'm a big fan of the cursey words. I've been a licensed attorney for over 17 years, but this is not legal advice. This is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not... Let's get into it.
Our first story today, it's technically a little bit of a quick bit. So with that quick bit, this is a story I covered a while ago regarding a YouTuber named Omni in a Hellcat. Do y'all remember this story? Some of you might, some of you are newer, and that's okay. We love our newer law nerds. I'm going to catch you up real quick. I went through, I think I was also drinking whiskey on this stream. I went through the indictment that came out in September 2021. And this indictment listed all kinds of property. Oh, I'm seeing some of you remember, some of you don't. No swoop. Do we need to swoop? I didn't know what a Hellcat was before this story. All right, well, swoop-a-doop for Omni in a Hellcat. I don't know. The YouTube channel is, oh, let me pull it up. Because his YouTube channel is still going. And let's go to the YouTube channel first. Because I am so confused how this is still happening on YouTube. So let me show you what's going on YouTube, and then I'll tell you what's going on in the world. Because, oh, I don't want to hear this real quick. Because this story is something that I can't look away. I cannot look away. It's kind of a train wreck. I'm kind of here for it, but I can't stop, won't stop. No apologies are made. So with that, this is YouTuber Omni in a Hellcat. So it's not Omni, it's Omni. OMI in a Hellcat. I keep adding in Omni. Look, your girl doesn't know. Omni in a Hellcat. So this intro is all of the houses. The government has things to say about them. taking delivery of a 2023 TRX Ram, burning my Balenciagas. My employee stole from me. I can't believe she cheated. Taking delivery of a Maybach G63 from 5 months ago. This one's from a month ago. This intro, he owned, this drive-in owned all of these houses. Owned all of these houses. All of them. All of these. So all of the vehicles as well. So when we talk about YouTubers, all the vehicles. When we talk about YouTubers flaunting their wealth, all the vehicles. Owns the whole street. Oh, he owns all the houses on this street. So this is the backdrop for what's happening here. When I initially went through this complaint, the government alleged that he was running a owns the whole zip code. The government alleged that he is running a massive fraud scheme with regard to theft of television services. So for me, when I was going through the theft of television service, I was like, what is happening? So they're going after it through copyright. This is stealing from Xfinity, from Comcast, etc., and running like bootleg cable for themselves. Like, hey, don't pay for cable, pay for my shit. And then he's like ripping cable and sending it. Did a Tuesday cover this? I love that. So when we went through the allegations, the thing that I went through the most was the asset forfeiture. Let's pull that up real quick as we go through, because for those of you that have not seen the asset forfeiture on this, I just have to share. We went through all of it. The stolen works are pretty fun too. Stolen works, the movie Steve Jobs, Man of Steel, Broken Famous, Boston Red Sox, New York's Met, The Jump, Bones, other sports games, Full Metal Jacket, The Predator, Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, just on and on and on. He is not the only one charged in this. There are others charged in this. Of course, there is wire fraud charged in this because of all the wire frauds that are being sent around. Dr. Riley saying, didn't he own blocks and blocks of Philly? Yes. So we are going to go through not the wire fraud, but the property. In these wire fraud charges, though, there are substantial payments being made back and forth, and they tracked. When you're looking at tracking, the government tracked in a chart all of the money movements, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of money movements that they were tracking. So let's get to the forfeiture of what happened. Those are all of the tax year counts. These are the financial counts that are seized. So this starts going through $34 million that was seized. Taken. 34 million that was taken. And where that $34 million was from, which bank accounts it was in, where it was held, what currencies it was in, and then the vehicles. These are the vehicles. I'm not going to read them all because we've done that already. These are the vehicles. I know I hate the crooked tables too. It's the way it got scanned in. It also makes me bananas. And it goes through all the vehicles by VIN number. The Jeep Wrangler, the Dodge, the Lamborghini, the Suzuki, the Chevy, all of the vehicles. All of the vehicles. Still, we're not done with vehicles. And then into the motorcycles. And then, okay, the Lamborghini, Urus, or whatever. Then we got net proceeds from the sale of a vehicle. Then we got to the real properties. These are the homes that they are forfeiting. Yes, the typos also make me crazy. Real property, and they listed every single property. Every single one. We're not done yet. Yep. We're still in the real property section. Yeah, the scanning also kills me. We're not done with real property yet. Those are the real properties. I counted them at one point. This guy's from Philly. This guy's from Philly. He owns Philly? Yep, kind of. Where did the money come from? The fraud scheme is what the government has alleged. The government alleged that the money came from the fraud scheme. So I have not circled back to this case in a minute because we've had a lot going on, and there was not a lot going on. This case was filed against him in September 2021, and not much happened after that. So as I was going back through the, hey, where did y'all go of it all, the news started to break this week that he had been sentenced. So when I went back to dive through the court records, he pled almost a year ago. And then there was a huge pause of nothing happening. I have to wonder what information, if any, was being shared. A lot of this case file is under seal. He was not the only one operating this scheme. So this is coming from theinquirer.com. Local YouTube star sentenced to 5.5 years, ordered to forfeit $30 million in large-scale cable piracy case. So this is YouTuber Ami in a Hellcat, photographed next to some of his cars. Well, we've seen the list of cars. What's hilarious to me, though, is he pled guilty a year ago, okay? And on YouTube, a month ago, his video is taking delivery of a 2023 TRX Ram. So, still making YouTube videos up until a month ago about these vehicles. Going to the reporting, and then we're going to pull up the sentencing. A local YouTube star who built a sizable following with slickly produced videos flaunting his fleet of luxury cars, collection of diamond encrusted bling, and his spacious Swedesboro home will be forced to give up nearly all of it after he was sentenced Tuesday to 5.5 years in prison for the illegal business that allowed him to amass the trappings of success. We need to redefine success in this country. Better known to his more than 800,000 online followers, as Ami in a Hellcat pleaded guilty last year to running one of the most brazen, good use of brazen, and successful cable TV piracy schemes ever prosecuted by the U.S. government. As part of his sentencing on Tuesday, he was ordered to forfeit more than $30 million in assets, including nearly $6 million in cash, cars including Lamborghinis, Porsches, Bentleys, and McLarens, and a portfolio of more than a dozen properties he's amassed across Philadelphia and its suburbs. $30 million is a lot of money, but tangible assets aren't everything, U.S. District Judge said in announcing the punishment during the hearing in federal court. You have a large following, and there may be people who think if you can get away with it, they can too. Ami 36 apologized to his family and employees and the cable companies he cheated through his business, which illegally sold content hijacked from cable boxes to thousands of online subscribers, paying fees as low as $15 a month. I really didn't know the significance of this crime until I was picked up by the FBI at my home. He made a YouTube video about it. I feel like I let everybody down. But while prosecutors described his crimes, which included counts of conspiracy, copyright infringement, fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion, as serious, much of Tuesday's hearing focused on the remarkable rags to riches stories. A product of North Philadelphia, he was born and raised at the playground is where he spent most of his days. I'm sorry. A product of North Philadelphia, he was raised as one of 38 children. His mother was deported and died of an overdose when he was still a child. His father dealt drugs and trained him at the age of 12 to cook crack cocaine. He ping-ponged between relatives' homes and foster care, including a stint with one caretaker who intentionally had him committed to a mental health facility for access to prescription narcotics he could later sell on the streets. He spent much of his teenage years and early 20s in and out of prison for drugs and other offenses. Still, his attorney told the judge once he swore off that life, he, without a high school diploma and little financial support, was able to build a multi-million-dollar business based on what at the time was considered cutting-edge technology in the entertainment field. It's a really wild story. It's a wild story. The company launched in 2016 and known at various points by names like Gears TV and Gears Reloaded, was a leader among so-called illicit IPTV services, a $1 billion a year industry in the United States. Yet, to be clear, he's not the only one that did this. It provided its subscribers hundreds of on-demand movies and television shows, as well as access to dozens of live cable channels and pay-per-view events at cut rate pricing, all of it stolen from legitimate services like Comcast, Verizon, Fios, and DirecTV. The service proved wildly successful, attracting more than 100,000 subscribers, and amassing more than $34 million in revenue by the time federal investigators shut it down in 2019. There's something to be said for someone who never had a chance but made one for themselves and who did everything in their power not to be that person they were expected to be, the attorney said. Despite his guilty plea, he and his lawyer both suggested at various points during Tuesday's proceeding that Gears TV had at least initially operated within a legal gray area. And this is part of the thing with this case. Is the technology he was using at the time, was it regulated? And so throughout the beginning of this case, it was kind of putting it back on regulators like, hey, just, we can. So there's not really a problem. And that is why you see the copyright claims in this, because it's not just really splitting the cable and reselling it. That's why they brought in the copyright claims, because I don't disagree that some of the cable splitting, the technology to split's a gray area, but the copyright's not a gray area. The tax evasion's also not a gray area. So while the technology might have been a gray area, the tax consequences and the copyright theft are not a gray area. So that's where that is. Congress moved last year to more clearly define the type of business he ran as illegal. And this is one of the problems I have, not with this case, but with cases like this, is when the technology hasn't caught up and the law hasn't caught up to the technology. I said that backwards at first. When the law hasn't caught up to the technology, is it on the people using the technology? And that's where we get this kind of gray zone of overreaching. I think in this case, the copyright is pretty clear, but we're going to keep seeing these cases where it's like, but you were doing this for 5, 7, 10, whatever years, and now we're going to come in and grab you because now we figure out how to do it. So while the technology might not have been regulated to say, hey, this technology is illegal, again, the copyright theft is pretty clear in this case. But this happened with other things. It happened in music, right? Until the government caught up with it. So we will see how this continues to progress. But I think all of that factored into, with a $34 million scheme and so much theft, I think all of those things factored into the fact that he only got 5 years. Let's see. Congress moved last year to more clearly define the type of business he ran as illegal, and he, in videos posted to his YouTube channel over the last year, has argued he legally paid for subscriptions to all the cable services whose content he was accused of pirating. So he paid it, but then he resold it, and this is an issue. In one posted under the title, "The FBI seized everything from me," he likened what he did to inviting friends who didn't have cable over to your home and taking up a collection for a pay-per-view event. "I'm only guilty of making money," he said in the video. "I ain't guilty of nothing else." Well, prosecutors beg to differ. This was illegal the entire time. The senior attorney in the U.S. Department, in the Justice Department's Computer Crime and Intellectual Property section, it's more like, it's not like inviting your friends over. It's more like ripping DVDs and selling them at the flea market. It's more like that. He noted that he made more money from his operation than virtually every other copyright defendant I've ever seen because it was at scale. Most copyright defendants rip CDs and sell them at the flea market. B in the chat said, "I'm English. We don't have cable. Is it like satellite TV?" Yes. It's like, it's stealing from a TV provider that's providing you movies and live television. So he would get a subscription to a cable provider or like a Hulu or Netflix or whatever. And then he would resell for part of the price that subscription and stream it to other people's TVs or stream it to other people's homes. The message to the general public and his many, many fans is that this was a serious offense that should yield punishment. As he stood before the judge Tuesday, he acknowledged he'd since had a change of heart, one inspired ironically by a television show produced by Disney, a company whose content he had been accused of stealing. He described viewing a behind-the-scenes documentary on Pixar and the work of thousands of employees that goes into making each of its animated films. This was the argument with pirating music as well, right? You're not just looking at like Metallica when you're pirating music. It is everyone downstream that goes into making it that you're stealing from. Same with pirating movies. When you're pirating movies, you are stealing from everyone who works on those productions. Thinking about those workers and the millions it cost their employees to produce even a half-hour television show, he said he realized that he had not committed a victimless crime. He did not fight prosecutors' request that he pay nearly $11 million in restitution to the cable companies and an additional $5.7 million to the IRS for unpaid taxes. And he swore that once released from prison, he intended to focus on his family and legitimate ventures like his YouTube channel and online marketing business. This sentence, he said, saved my life. Look, I, for one, I'm here for the redemption story. Are you here for the redemption story? I'm very interested to see what happens next. So he's been sentenced to 5.5 years of federal prison. We're going to look at the sentencing document, but I'm also really interested to see what happens when he comes back to YouTube. I really firmly believe people deserve second chances. So let's see. Let's see how it goes. Pled guilty to counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, 18, 24, 29, 34, 47, 55, and 62. Counts 35 through 46, 48, 49, 50, 52, 53, 54, 56, and 61 are dismissed. 61. Most of the offenses were conspiracy offenses. He faced a substantial amount of time if these stacked. It gives all the different titles and sections that he pled to, which included the wire fraud, the false statements, tax evasion, copyright fraud, all the rest of it, making false statements to the bank, and the rest. Imprisonment for a term of 66 months. The defendant shall surrender on May 5th, so 2 months. I wonder if he will, I wonder if he'll make a YouTube video before he surrenders. There's some time. So again, he pled a year ago. He was sentenced this week. He pled a year ago, February. He was sentenced this week, and he is surrendering on May 8th. It talks about his supervised release will be, all terms of supervised release will run concurrently. It doesn't say one term on each account. 3 years. Sorry, I missed it. It's right at the beginning. I was looking at the end. 3 years of supervised release afterwards. No! Emily, what happened? I don't know. I think he's going to be teaching people in custody how to make YouTube channels because you can make a lot of money on YouTube in a legitimate way. And if he's entrepreneurial, which clearly he is, I think he will find a way. Let's see. Special conditions of release. The defendant shall refrain from illegal possession of drugs and submit to drug testing. Shall provide the U.S. Probation Office with full disclosure of financial records to include yearly income tax returns at the request of probation. Shall cooperate with probation in investigating his financial dealings. Prohibited from incurring any new credit charges or opening new lines of credit without approval from probation. So they are going to be keeping an eye on his finances quite tightly. Criminal monetary penalties, $16.4 million. Total loss over $10 million, restitution of $10 million. So that's $26 million there. $5 million to the IRS. So that's getting us into that $30 million range. And let's see where the forfeiture is. Detailed additional forfeited property section. The defendant shall forfeit the property. Let's see. Where is the forfeited property? Here it is. Here's the section with the additional forfeited property. This is the shit that the government came and took. He made a YouTube video about it. They seized all of the houses. They seized all of the houses. This is the forfeited property. All right. The type is really small, but at least they listed them by numbers. So at the beginning is the money seized in currency, 5.2 million from a bank account, 542,000 from a different one, 20,000, 1,000, 20,000, 80,000. Those are currencies taken from bank accounts and then taken from inside of homes and cars. Then we have the cars starting at number 7, going all the way through, let's see, cars, all the way through number 65, ending with a Raptor 700 all-terrain vehicle seized on December 17th. And then real property items number 66 through 88. So those are all real properties in and around Philadelphia, except for the one in Jersey. So, which, you know, close together. And one of the vehicles seized from Jersey as well. So those are the vehicles, or those are the homes here, items 66 through 88. And that is just absolutely wild to me. Absolutely wild to me. So the Ami and a Hellcat case, no fake purses, but a lot of assets forfeited to the government. Those get sold off and go towards restitution. No, those are in addition to restitution. Those don't count. He still has to make the restitution for the money. So a lot of property. So let's see. What is the total for this list alone? This is millions of dollars of property with all these homes. So the asset forfeiture, I don't think they summarized. I would have to go back through some of the sentencing memos, but most of them are sealed. So I imagine there are others doing this that he has also discussed with the government. That is my speculation based on the fact that everything is so sealed. So Ami and a Hellcat, YouTuber, sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Nothing really to do with YouTube, except that his YouTube channel does show the lifestyle, right? The cars, the houses, all of it. All of it. I'm fascinated by this story. I'm interested to see when Ami gets out, if he revives the YouTube channel. I'm interested to see if there is an upload. His last upload was a month ago. If there's a new video, about him being sentenced and about him pleading. I'm really, really interested to see what happens here. So with all of that, it is time to move on to our next story. So let me pull up where are my documents? Emily, why is no one ready? Me, I'm no one. Where is my Rust hearing? We're going to pull up the Rust hearing first, and then we are going to move on to all the documents for the TikTok psychic. But the Rust hearing's a video hearing, so we're going to go through that real quick and see what happens at this first status hearing. I expect that they're going to be setting the date for the preliminary hearing. Some of you have probably already seen reporting about it. But let us go, and we will ask questions and do questions at the end. So I will be grabbing those as I can. I'm very interested to see what happens. What happens from here with Ami and a Hellcat. It's so wild. There is echo at the beginning of this. It goes away. And let me make sure that this is turned up. So the echo will go away. It looks like the court is going to be streaming these hearings. Next time there is a hearing, if we can, I will go live and we will cover that. All right, let's go. Horrible, horrible echo.
Your Honor, this is Alex Spiro. Can the court hear me okay?
Yes, I'm wondering why there is an echo.
Me too.
Hold on, let me find out.
Let me gain this up a little bit. All right.
Let's continue and see if it's a problem.
This is
Okay.
the judge.
Your Honor, good afternoon. This is Jason Bowles from
Okay,
SBT.
just a second. I'm calling Mr. Baldwin's case, and so can counsel state their appearance for Mr. Baldwin's case? Ms. Carmack Altweiss already did.
The judge is like, Counsel, can you please wait your turn?
Yes. Good afternoon again. This is Alex Spiro and Luke Nikas from Quinn Emanuel, and we're joined by our colleague Heather LeBlanc.
Okay,
So these
thank
are
you.
Baldwin's
All right.
attorneys.
And then the next case is D101CR 2023-40, and counsel, state your appearance for this case.
And that's going to be for the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed.
And Your Honor, Jason Bowles for Ms. Gutierrez-Reed.
Okay, and I think you might want to turn your volume up a little, Ms. Carmack Altweiss.
That's the
Okay.
DA.
All right, so we're here for a status. Who would like to
Yes,
begin?
Your Honor. We
Often in status hearings, the district attorney goes first. It's interesting to me that you're seeing Baldwin's defense attorney jump in and go first on the status hearing, because normally the prosecutor would give a status of what's going on. But okay.
received an email from the state today that they are providing us with the discovery today.
Mhm.
And so we've previously made Giglio and Brady demands on the state. I'm hopeful that the discovery we're receiving today includes these items.
He's asking for any items that could be exculpatory or not exculpatory. So it's a general part of discovery that's obligated to be turned over by the prosecution. But he's saying we're making a specific written offer of discovery. Sometimes you have to, depending on jurisdiction, you have to say we need all of it, and then all of the discovery will get turned over. It's a standard part of the case.
There hasn't been a response on that, but I'm hopeful that that's being included in what's being produced today.
Okay.
In addition, we've asked for the vouchers for the case because we need to be able to look at and visit the property. And we've asked the state to make that available to us, and we're hopeful to see.
So the defense attorneys want to go out to the ranch where the filming happened.
The property, the evidence in this case on April the 12th. The court, I don't think is aware at this point, but I think I should tell the court that the firearm in this case, that's a great subject of it, was destroyed by the state. So that's obviously an issue, and we're going to have to see that firearm.
This is something that the news media has made quite a lot out of. We knew this a while ago here. The law nerds knew this. The state did not, from my understanding, destroy the firearm, like get rid of it. The firearm was damaged in the destructive testing from the FBI because the firearm broke when the FBI was test firing it. So they didn't like melt it down or throw it away or whatever. It's broken. So they're not able to, the defense is not able to test fire it because the weapon broke during the testing. So it's not usable to retest it so that the defense cannot test it. That's why I wanted to clarify, because a lot of you are going to be like, I thought you meant the state like destroyed it, like they made it so that the evidence wasn't unavailable. No, in testing, it became further unusable. So he's saying, hey, we need to be able to see the gun. But again, this is the defense attorney. It's not an improper way to state it. For their purpose, the weapon is destroyed because they can't test fire it. But it's not as if the state trashed it, if that makes sense. The defense said this in Murdaugh too. The state destroyed the t-shirt. We can't test it anymore because they covered it in LCV, so no other testing can happen with it. Technically, that is destroyed for the purposes of the defense. They can't retest it. They can't replicate those tests. This is a problem. I think they did not, they did throw it around the room. They probably did. So it's non-working, but it still exists. Exactly. So the faulty gun is part of the defense, but it is the FBI said that they test fired it. So they will have access to the people that did the test firing to question them about what happened. Since the gun is destroyed, will that help the defense? I think it actually makes it harder for them to make their case because they can't test it. They can't send it to another, to another firearms examiner and have them test it. So destroyed but not disposed of. Yes. The gun exists in whatever state it's in now, but it's not usable for further testing. So for the purposes of further testing, it is destroyed. The question is, so did the FBI play with the gun and throw it around their office? I can only imagine that's exactly what happened. No, I'm being facetious. Sarcasm. No, they test fired it. And the internal mechanisms broke, is my understanding from the coverage we've already done.
Or what's left of it. In addition,
So this is what the media has really covered from this hearing. Let's see the rest of the hearing.
so that's obviously an issue, and we're going to have to see that firearm or what's left of it.
And that's fair.
In addition, we're hopeful that today we could set a date for the preliminary hearing.
Yay! Let's set a date for the preliminary hearing and let's have it streamed. We've covered a lot of trials. We haven't gotten to cover a lot of preliminary hearings. Normally in cases they're not streamed. I am so ready for this preliminary hearing, this one and the Idaho one. And then we'll get to talk all about different standards of evidence. I am ready. I'm ready. And they're only, a couple hours long, sometimes a day.
Okay, let me just say that at this point, on the first appearance for Ms. Gutierrez-Reed, I told Ms. Carmack Altweiss to file a motion for extension of time if she did not want it on April 25th. I have not seen a motion on that. A motion, and if it's stipulated to, a stipulated order, but I've not seen that.
Let's do the prelim in April. April works for me, Your Honor.
We have been in discussions about trying
April's
to
good for
find
us.
a date that all parties can agree to. If
April's
the
good
court
for
would
us.
have us on such a date, we obviously are not, I'm not aware of the court schedule. We would not be willing to waive the 60-day clock. We would have some flexibility.
The defense is not waiving time for the preliminary hearing. And with the defense not waiving time for the preliminary hearing, it has to happen within the statutory set time there. So that's what they are doing. Ashley, charges were not dropped. I have a podcast episode about that from last week. The gun enhancement on one of the charges was dropped.
Right around the time of the 60-day clock or into early May. But for a variety of reasons, one, that Mr. Baldwin wants his day in court, but also counsel's trial schedule, frankly, we would need to do it close to the 60-day clock in order to do this in a timely manner.
Yes.
And Your Honor,
Yes.
that is correct. I didn't know about this April 12th date. Mr. Spiro, I will talk with you offline about trying to get that set up. I would agree that April 25th is the 60-day date. Actually, I had it calculated as April 24th. I have not filed a motion yet, Your Honor. I was attempting somewhat to confer sets of counsel. It seems like Mr. Bowles is available later in May. Mr. Baldwin's counsel are only available earlier in May. We are mostly open all of May. There's a couple of Fridays that I would ask that we not have the hearing. We are thinking that it will probably take, I initially told counsel 1 week. I think it'll probably take 2 weeks.
What?
And
What did you just say? What did you just say? That the preliminary hearing is going to take 2 weeks? Ma'am, this is a probable cause hearing, not a trial. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
that calculated as April 24th. I have not filed a motion yet, Your Honor. I was attempting somewhat to confer sets of counsel. It seems like Mr. Bowles is available later in May.
The attorney that is speaking right now is, and it says it down in the bottom here, it's actually really helpful that it lists it on their Zoom, is the district attorney for this district in New Mexico, Mary Carmack Altweiss. So This is the attorney that keeps talking about the fancy big city lawyers in their motions and press statements. This is the DA.
Mr.
2
Baldwin's counsel
weeks.
are only available earlier in May. We are mostly open all of May. There's a couple of Fridays that I would ask that we not have the hearing. We are thinking that it will probably take, I initially told counsel 1 week. I think it'll probably take 2 weeks. I think we could potentially be ready to start that last week of April or at the latest that first week of May. Of course, I don't know what the court schedule is. But I can also file that motion if the
This should not take that long. This is a probable cause hearing. In a probable cause hearing, you need what happened. Someone was shot and killed. Okay, you get the medical on that. You need maybe one expert to talk about the standards on set. Case that this type of a case should not take 2 weeks. All right, let's keep going.
court schedule doesn't work and we can ask for an enlargement of time.
It sounds like you need one. I mean, it sounds.
Yeah.
It sounds,
If you're going to start in May, you need a waiver of time, or you have to start in April.
Your Honor, and may I just add on behalf of Ms. Gutierrez-Reed, I did tell the court at the last hearing, I have a federal trial April 24th commencing before Judge Urias, and that, as it stands now, is set for 2 weeks. That's why I indicated to Ms. Carmack-Altways that I am available that later part of May. Now I can, if it's set earlier in May, Your Honor, if this court would set it at that time, I'll just work and do whatever I can to make that work. But I am set right now in front of Judge Urias.
well, what I had planned to do today was I brought my calendar. And so if you're going to go past the 25th, then Ms. Carmack-Altways, even if we agree on date.
Court scheduling is one of the most difficult parts of cases. It sounds wild, but trying to schedule time for anything that takes more than a day is so difficult. The more attorneys you have involved, the more challenging that becomes.
Needs to do a motion to file, so there's continuity in the court file. But I'm prepared to set that date, but I'm also prepared to do the motion for disqualification. And I would like to set that first, obviously.
Yeah, I want to hear the motion for disqualification too. What the judge is talking about is that motion to disqualify the special prosecutor that Baldwin filed. I covered that in other content. It's actually a really interesting separation of powers argument. So it puts the nerd in law nerd in that, but I really enjoy it. Okay, let's keep going. I want to see that hearing too.
And the reply deadline is March 21st, but that's up to you whether you want whether you're going to turn it in sooner. So are we at a point where we could talk about dates today?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Everybody's saying
Okay,
yes.
so let's talk about them. Let's do the motion for disqualification first, knowing that it's up to Mr. Baldwin's counsel whether they want the hard time of the 21st or whether they want shorter or longer.
Yes, Your Honor. We could have that in on the 20th. We're already into next week at this point, being the week before the 21st. So we couldn't have it in much. I wouldn't want to commit to having it in much earlier, but we could have the hearing immediately thereafter as soon as the court was able.
Okay, well, I have my calendar up. So when do you think you all could do that? And certainly
The court is like, stop talking to me and tell me a date. I don't care about any of your exposition. Tell me a date.
would be on Google Meets, unless anyone's asking for it to be in person. I don't know why that would be. And that would be also you, Mr. Bowles.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's start with Mr. Spiro, because Ms. Carmack-Altways said that she was open. So why don't you give me some dates and how long, is this a day-long hearing?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. It sort of depends on the court and the questions that the court may
It
have.
shouldn't be that long.
At this point, the court has not suggested to the parties that there needs to be an evidentiary portion of this. Obviously, this is simply legal argument. So I think this can be done in a short block of court time. I wouldn't want to take up too much of the court's time, and we think the issue is rather clear. So the week that we file this response is fine with us, which is the 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
The chat
Obviously,
would like
the
it in
court
person.
wants
No,
time to
we can just
read and
stream it.
digest. I don't know the court schedule. Our reply, it could be the following week as well, but we do think this issue should be dealt with, obviously,
Stat.
in a time-sensitive manner.
Yeah, stat.
And I would agree with that, Your Honor. I would ask that you set it the week of the 27th, not the week before.
Is council able to hear Ms. Carmack all twice?
Not very well.
Not well.
Not
Your
well
Honor.
at
Can
all.
you turn up your volume? It sounds very muffled.
I can try. I have it. Is that
Can you get a microphone?
any better?
It's a
Barely.
little bit better on
DA, your mic.
my end, for what it's worth.
Okay.
I'll
All
just
right, Mr. Bowles, what about you?
Your Honor, that week of the 27th does work.
They're talking March.
Pretty much any day this court would set it. If that's what this court preferred.
Mary,
Monday,
your mic.
the 27th works.
That is a good day for the court. Is that a good day for everyone?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let's do that. All right, so the motion for disqualification will be, and my Google begins at 10 o'clock. We share Google here, so 10 o'clock Mountain Time. Would that work for everybody?
Sure.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we have that set.
All right.
All right, next up, let's discuss the preliminary.
Blue smoke. No, they don't teach Zoom in law
I think
school.
from what I've heard from the state, and I understand Mr. Bowles has some scheduling issue, but I think, especially now that I'm hearing that it could be a 2-week hearing, that if the court's available at the beginning of May, we would like to start as early in May as possible.
So Ms. Carmack Altweiss, I just learned from IT that to stop the echoing, you need to mute your computer when you're not speaking.
She needs headphones. Just get a wired in headphone with a Mikey mic. I just need to start, law nerds, I might just start selling Zoom kits. It's like, here is the shit that you need. Just plug this into your computer. You need a headphone and you need a microphone. That's it. Or you need a microphone that you can put your headphone in. Look, it's just lawyers. It's not hard. It's not hard.
Okay. So you said the first week in May, but she said 2 weeks. So are we doing the first 2 weeks in May?
That's fine with Mr. Baldwin's counsel.
It's also fine with the state, Your Honor. I don't think that works.
It's not fine with me. It's my birthday and I want to go see Taylor Swift.
For who?
Mr. Bowles.
Oh, okay.
He's in trial.
And Your Honor, I may be overruled. I just, my federal trial will probably go into that week. However, I mean, I don't know if this court can even start Wednesday, May 3rd.
No,
to-
next
to
week.
Give it a
Next
few more
week.
days.
Next week.
That would be fine with Mr. Baldwin's counsel.
That's also fine with the state.
All right. So I'm going to May 3rd. And May 17th is when you think you're going to finish?
All right. That's what we're doing in May.
Yes, I think we could get there.
No, I didn't say I want to go see Taylor Swift. We'll have to see what happens with the resale ticket market.
Your Honor, as the court's aware, the state has filed a lengthy witness list. I believe there's 46 witnesses. It's grown at least once. We would ask just so this can be an orderly process. And so we make sure Mr. Baldwin has a fair opportunity to prepare for this, that the state identify the actual subset of witnesses that they intend to call.
They're not going to do that.
It will also allow us to notify and subpoena the necessary witnesses that we need, that they're not
Ooh, we're going to have an affirmative defense at the preliminary hearing.
calling or that we need to answer some of these allegations.
Do you have a deadline in mind?
Jennifer, I also have Dave and May.
I would
Later.
think that the state would be in a position already, frankly, to tell us at least which witnesses they are certain they are calling and some witnesses that they are not. So I would ask for a good faith roadmap, at least at this point, of what they do know. And then maybe, 3 weeks from now, a month from now, they can tell us exactly who they intend to call. And, it can be subject to minor adjustment, obviously, but that at least gives us a roadmap. And then maybe 2 weeks before the hearing, we sort of have a final list so that we go into it all knowing and it can map out the schedule for everybody.
I think they won all 46. That's why they gave you a list of 46.
And Your Honor, I would object that there is no rule that requires that for preliminary.
That's why I said they're not going to do that. They are not required to narrow down the witness list. They are allowed to decide even in the middle of the hearing if they want to call somebody else that they need to. They said it's going to be a 2-week hearing, so they are allowed to.
Hearing. We have filed our witness list. If we narrow it down when we determine that we're going to, I will let defense counsel know, but I would ask that you not give us a deadline for that.
Well, I think it's reasonable to have a deadline, especially with 46.
And the court's like, yeah, I know you don't have to, but my scheduling comes first.
We've got a 2-week trial here. I would think that there'd be a certain point where you really had a certainty.
Well, then I would ask for a week to 2 weeks prior to the preliminary hearing.
The
And Mr.
February
Chairman,
hearing? Did you say the February hearing?
She said the preliminary hearing.
Preliminary hearing. Okay. Mr. Spiro?
yeah, and I would ask for at least, it sounds like the state can do it and is not objecting to a 2-week. At a minimum, we would ask for 2 weeks. Council's obviously traveling to attend this and has other trials before and after this. And
All right,
to
well,
do this in
I think we're pretty close. You asked for a month. That would have been about the 9th or the 10th. She's asking for 2 weeks. That's the 17th. It's another Monday from the 10th of April. So the 17th will be the deadline. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So what you'll need, I will need from you, Ms. Carmack Altweiss, before I move the April 25th date, is a motion.
To waive time.
And then you can note their stipulation for
Okay.
May 3rd.
I will get that done. Thank you.
May is our next
Okay, so
case.
have we been, are we clear on what we're going to do? So shall I just repeat March 27th at 10 o'clock? It's a Monday.
weeks.
We're going to do the motion to disqualify. And then on May 3rd until May 7th through May 17th, we're going to do the preliminary examination for both defendants. And where's my calendar? On April 17th is the deadline for the state to identify their certain witnesses for the preliminary examination. And I will look for that motion to move the preliminary examination in order that I begin resetting these matters.
Okay.
Resetting these matters.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, counsel.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
Thanks,
Are in
Your Honor.
recess.
Thanks, everybody. All right, y'all. We're done with the Baldwin hearing. That is the update in
Charges,
Rust.
including murder.
I have other news that is just like, hey, it's news time. That's the update in the Rust case. The Rust preliminary hearing is going to last 2 weeks. I can see why the news has been calling it a mini trial. That's a whole ass thing. 2 weeks is so long for a preliminary hearing because it really is a preliminary finding of fact. I think the prosecution here is worried that this case could be dismissed at preliminary hearing. And so they are going to put on, I mean, it's not inaccurate to call it a mini trial. They gave the defense a 46-person witness list. So 2 weeks is trial length for preliminary hearing just in front of the judge, no jury, lower standard of proof. The standard of proof for a preliminary hearing is probable. So it is literally a probable cause hearing, but this is not a clear-cut case for the prosecution. It's not an easy case. So we will see. We'll get to learn a lot more about what's going to happen at trial, because it really is going to be 90% of the trial, it sounds like, is going to be done at the preliminary hearing. So that's what we're doing in May. June is going to be the Brian Kohberger preliminary hearing. At least that's what's scheduled. And we will be covering that as well. So we've got some stuff coming up, and we've got to get all of the other coverage that we've been doing in between done before then. So that's what's going on in Rust. I will be covering, and if we can do it live, I will figure out if we can do it live, but I will be covering, if we can do it live, the motion to disqualify hearing, or we'll do it the next day after it happens if it's going to be a short interview like this. I want to know what happens with that motion to disqualify. So with all of that, it is time to move on to talk about the TikTok psychic and the new things that have been filed there, and then we will get to questions. So, Emily, where did you put the link to your drive? It was supposed to be right here. It was supposed to be right here. All right, let's pull that up real quick. Wrong TikTok lawsuit. Why do I have so many TikTok lawsuits in my drive? We need to get back to the Bethany Frankel one. TikTok just had a huge win in the Stitch lawsuit, so we need to do that. I see a lot of questions about, will Rust be televised? I think it will be streamed. At least the hearing for the 27th should be streamed. We'll see what's going on with the preliminary hearing. I will be working on that. So we will see what we can do. But yes, we will do everything we can. I'm sure that it will be. And we'll figure it out. All right, let's get to the TikTok defamation case. Are y'all ready? This is the one you wanted to hear about the most. And then we're going to go to questions. Let's go. For those of you new to this case, this is adjacent to the Idaho college murders case. There is a TikTok psychic who has been accusing an Idaho University professor of committing the murders and or hiring individuals to commit the murders. I covered that on the podcast 2 weeks ago. The TikTok psychic is representing herself. Here's what happened. What happened was the Idaho professor filed a complaint for defamation for all of the stuff that was being said on TikTok. It was served on the TikToker. TikToker never responded. The professor entered a motion to a entry of default and a motion for the clerk's entry of default. The clerk entered default in the case on January 27th, 2023, meaning the case is done. Default. You were served, you didn't show up. The defendant filed a flurry of activity in February. So the clerk's entry of default was January 27th. The TikToker filed an answer and a counterclaim on February 16th. The TikTok psychic is suing the professor for defaming her by filing a lawsuit claiming she's being defamed. I know. In that motion is when we see all of the YouTubers listed, all of the media outlets listed. It's where you get the iNabber and the marquee of it all listed in the lawsuit. Then, so you get an answer and a counterclaim, a motion to set aside the default, and a few other motions. After that, and we covered part of this on the podcast, after that, you get a response to the defendant's motion for relief from judgment. And they said, no, you got to deal with what you did. You didn't respond. You were served. Handle it. No. And they asked the court to stand by the default. And then they asked for the entry of a default judgment, which is where we left off. The professor, because now we're just going by professor and TikToker, the professor said no. Enter a default of $1.8 million of a judgment. Enter the $1.8 million judgment. And that's where we left off, with the setting aside, or with the not setting aside the default and the response to that. So we covered That mostly, I'm going to go through it real quick again, and then we're going to get into the new filings because we didn't go through this thoroughly, and we're not going to do that now. But this is their response. TikToker ignored the judicial process and defaulted. She now seeks to set aside the default, but this is the rare case where the court should deny such relief. TikToker's default was intentional. She's known about this lawsuit since it was filed. She posted videos almost immediately after the complaint was filed, boasting. This is what's going to do it for the court, in my opinion. She knew about it and bragged about it. That is what the court is going to lean into in not setting aside this default if that's what the court chooses to do. I hope we see it. I hope we see it. She posted videos almost immediately after the complaint was filed, boasting about how excited she was for litigation and continuing to defame the professor. She also posted a video acknowledging that she was served. She has no meritorious defense. Since the complaint was filed, Koberger has been arrested and charged with the murders. The Moscow Police Department issued a statement that the professor was not involved with the murders. TikToker refuses to accept reality, instead posting fanciful statements that law enforcement is corruptly targeting Koberger to protect the professor. The professor will be prejudiced by her untimely participation in the lawsuit. TikToker clearly intends to make this litigation a circus to bring more attention to herself, which is what I struggle with in covering this case. As she has posted about it, constantly accused the professor of witness, or accused the professor's attorney of witness tampering because she is a spiritual witness to the murders and seeks to assert claims against the professor and her counsel. These frivolous and untimely ploys will only bring more attention to TikToker, drive up litigation costs for professor, and most unfortunately, distract from delivering justice and finality to the victim's family. TikToker had a chance to defend herself in this litigation and chose self-promotion instead. The court should not reopen this matter, but instead send a strong and clear message to TikToker that the madness must stop. That is their response to the defendant's motion for relief from the judgment. Then the professor filed the motion to strike the defendant's answer. The clerk has entered a default, so they are seeking to strike the answer. Let's go to that filing now. Motion to strike. Hold on. We're going to do this real quick. All right. No, Emily, go back. I user errored myself. User error. All right. Motion to... Facts. Thanks, Miguelina. Facts. Professor versus TikToker. Motion to strike TikToker's answer. After the clerk filed a clerk's entry of default, defendant TikToker filed an answer and counterclaims. And then this is referring to the docket number. The answer and counterclaims are untimely. Untimely! Yeet. That's what they're saying. Yeet. Yeet. It is untimely, therefore yeet. They are also procedurally improper because the clerk's entry of default has not been set aside and should not be set aside for the reasons set forth within plaintiff's response. Remember, defendant is representing themselves pro per. Judy, I see you in the chat. I'm trying. It is my goal. It is my goal to just refer to TikToker as TikToker. Brian said, but time is a construct. That's the argument to the court. I wonder how the court will take it. They are also procedurally improper because the clerk's entry of default has not been set aside and should not be set aside for the reasons set forth in plaintiff's response to defendant's motion for relief from judgment of order pursuant to Federal Rules Civil Procedure 60B. Footnote 1. The counterclaims are also procedurally improper in part because defendant attempts to name plaintiff's counsel who are not an opposing party. Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 13. I love the lawyer shade. They're like, actually, it's not the only thing that's wrong. There's so much that's wrong, but we'll just put it in the footnote. The court should thus strike the defendant's answer, affirmative defenses, and counterclaim to the complaint, either under Rule 12F or pursuant to its inherent powers. And then they cite case law. Quote, here defendant failed to properly answer the complaint until over a year after the time to respond had run and after an entry of default. Accordingly, it's within the court's discretion to dismiss defendant's answers, which are untimely and improper. The challenge that they face here is that this was not an extended period of time after. This was a short period of time. Madison McKenzie, ADB, did you look up the other docket in her answer? I have not yet looked up the other docket in her answer, but I will. I just haven't had time with the trial, but it's still on my mind because there is another case she is fighting. So we will. This is another case. Milt's Eagle failed to answer plaintiff's allegations until 4 weeks after the 21-day deadline. This is a better case law. It's closer in time. Till 4 weeks after the 21-day deadline for the second amended complaint, accepting the plaintiff's factual allegations is true. The court therefore strikes defendant's improper answer. Another case, striking an untimely answer because the filing of an answer must always be timely. Law's got a lot of rules, folks. Law's got a lot of rules. Certificate of service. And the certificate of service is an issue. Here's why. The defense or the plaintiff had to file another motion regarding certificate of service. And let's see if I can show this without, yes, I can. I'm going to have to zoom this up a little bit so we don't see the whole address. All right. Let's see. We're going through the motion. This doesn't show it either. Okay. Plaintiffs. Second. B. Stop it. B. Make this big. Come on. There we go. Plaintiff's notice regarding service. On February 27th, plaintiff filed a motion to strike defendant's answer, affirmative defense, and counterclaims. Plaintiff included a certificate of service indicating that she sent the motion via overnight mail to the address listed for defendant on the docket. Previously, plaintiff used the same method of service to successfully serve her response to defendant's motion for relief. For the most recent motion to strike, however, plaintiff received a return from UPS stating receiver did not want, refused delivery. Exhibit A. Accordingly, plaintiff submits this notice to correct its certificate of service on the motion to strike. Plaintiff will attempt other means. Now she's avoiding process. So this is exactly what UPS did because they put the photo in. Return to shipper. Reason for return. Receiver did not want, refused delivery. Nope. That doesn't work. But I think it's accurate. Did not want. Of course she doesn't want it. She doesn't want to hear anything about this at all. Lord. Goodness. So with regard to this, they're going to be now having to send process servers. This is going to cost the professor more money. These are the types of cases that I really want to see the court stand their ground on. Here's why. This type of defamation is exactly what I think defamation law is for. You are damaging someone's reputation in the community by making false statements of committing crimes of reputation. You cannot say whatever the fuck you want when it comes to reputational harm and damage. She could call the professor a bitch or whatever other names she wants to call her. Name calling is different. What she can't do is accuse her of murdering someone. And the thing is, the plaintiff, and I'm surprised plaintiff's counsel didn't bring this up, because the defendant said in her answer that we're going to read it because at some point, because it's just, I need to control F myself real quick. I need the exact language, and it is not it is not searching. She talks about the fact that she has a defense for TikTok privilege, and that her statements are protected by that privilege because she has been posting them on TikTok. And she talks about the fact that these statements in other contexts would be defamatory, but they're not defamatory here because she is privileged. And that is one of her defenses. Where is it? It should be in the defense section. Here we go. This is the TikToker's self-represented motion, and these are the affirmative defenses that she is claiming in her answer that shouldn't have been filed because the default has not been set aside, but whatever. Plaintiff's claims are barred by qualified privilege. The 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered. Without the arrest of the murderers, there's a presumption of danger to the public. University of Idaho constituents and Idaho residents, discovering and revealing the murderers with the intent to get them investigated and arrested is an act to warn others about harm or danger and to bring resolution to the problem. The statements were made in the best interest of public safety. That's the public safety privilege. Ashley made the statements without actual malice. Therefore, qualified privilege permits TikToker to make the statements that in a different circumstance would typically be considered defamatory. So, there we are. I want to know what this court is going to do so badly. I have not, I don't know, look forward to is the wrong word because this is going to be really awful for the people going through it. The professor dealing with this, it is awful for them. It is bringing more attention, and I think it's going to be a very bad model that like drama pays and lawsuits pay and lawsuits are content. I mean, lawsuits are obviously content. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. But the parties involved in the lawsuits using it as a way to elevate their online profile. I believe the plaintiffs called it a clout circus. So creating the clout circus, which is apparently where we live right now, in the clout circus, so elevating the clout circus is becoming like a model. And that's wild to me. But it makes the defamation almost worse, right? Because it doubles down on it and then is like, fine. But it goes both ways, right? Because when you look at lawyers on YouTube, content creators like Nate the Lawyer suing, bringing attention to that lawsuit is going to help him be able to pursue that lawsuit and is going to be able to use his community and audience to crowdsource that lawsuit when he has been defamed. So it cuts both ways, right? And that's a hard thing. So I don't know. I believe this is a clout circus. I have tremendous sympathy for the plaintiff in this case. And I want to see the court say enough is enough. And I think we'll see that in this case. I'll be disappointed truly if we don't. I don't normally tell you how I want to see cases go. Normally it's like, let it roll and we'll see what happens. In this particular case, given the TikToks that I've seen, the statements that were made, the pro per representation, the fact that a pro per could cost a aggrieved plaintiff hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that might be the goal sometimes, and use the court system in that way. I want to see the court say, you know what? You didn't file it when you were supposed to. You don't have a reason for not filing it other than you just didn't. And that's tough. That's the way it goes. So you're done. And I want to see that happen in this case. So we'll see. But I don't know. Maybe we live in the clout circus now, and we'll see what happens from there. It's my understanding that this TikToker is still making TikToks about this, and I haven't seen a follow-up. Atuzi had pulled a bunch of them on their channel and put them together. I know that Marquis has, iNabber has talked about it as well. That's why they're listed in this lawsuit. So I'm so torn because I'm so deeply interested in what's going to happen in this case, but also I just feel so badly for the professor involved in this case, who happens to be a professor in Idaho where this horrible tragedy happened. And then you get people capitalizing on it in the worst and most vile way, and then accusing people of doing something horrific. It's just too much for me. So normally I'm able to just come in a bit neutral and say, hey, let's see how it happens. I can't in this. I just can't in this one. I just can't in this one. There are so many ethical ways to create content, and this is not one of them. It's egregious and it's appalling. Look, if you want to write fanfic about something as horrific as these murders, do it and don't name people, right? But you can't say these people did this. This one is a bridge too far for me. And I have tremendous empathy for the professor. Tremendous empathy for the professor. So, boundaries. This is a complete and absolute breach of the boundaries of decorum and of the internet. So this one pisses me off. There are very few I cover where I'm invested in one way or the other, but I do want to see the court stand by the rules of federal civil procedure. And you know what might do it? This is, again, my thoughts and my opinion. You know what might do it in this case is the defendant's answer. The defendant's answer might show the court what a shit show this is going to be, and the court's going to take a look at that and be like, it's late, expired, and yeet it. And I could see them doing that. I could see them absolutely doing that. Okay, with all of that, it's time to get to questions. It's time to get to questions. So, all of it. Let us go to questions. You've got questions. I've got questions. We have questions. First of all, I'm going to have to put up a poll and see what we think of an extra to the 15,000 of you that are here. Do we like a Friday stream? We're going to try it this week with it, and next week without it, and then we'll go from there. So do we like a Friday stream? Also, I need to promote things. Hold on. Let me open the phone and show you my DMs. Look, I need to promote things. On Instagram, if y'all follow me on Instagram, there is a new Law Nerd Alert channel on Instagram. And it says Law Nerd IG Alerts. I put it in my stories today. And if you sign up, I will be able to send you all of the links, and you will just get them where you get your DMs in Instagram. There are over 3,000 of you there now in our alert channel. They just rolled this out on Instagram. I don't know how many people have it, but if you go to my stories, you can sign up now and get into, oh, Jen Shaw posted again. Jen Shaw is posting on Instagram. I'm going to have to go look at that later. So this is why I don't open social media when I'm talking. So you can go to the Law Nerd IG Alerts channel, and it will show up in where your DMs are. So my DMs say primary general channels and then requests, so I can see them along the top. It might not be available internationally yet, and if it's not, I apologize. That's why we do the Law Nerds Alerts email, and we are working on our own solution. I've got calls about that today. My team has been taking calls all week. So we have the email Law Nerd alert, and you will get those too. Behind me is Fred. Fred is white. I don't know if George is back there too. Nope, just Fred right now. George was back there yesterday, curled up inside Fred. They looked like a cinnamon bun, and they were both snoring to the point where I could hear them with my in-ears in. I was like, these cats. JJ said, I thought Jen Shaw was in jail. Jen Shaw is posting or sending journal entries to Coach Shaw, and Coach Shaw is posting them on Jen's Instagram to keep people in the loop. Did you see BravoCon invites are out to the casts? No, I didn't. Do we have dates? Does anyone know? Are there leaked dates for BravoCons? I need to book hotels. I need to book hotels. Do we know dates? Do we know dates? Let me know if we do. We'll take a look. All right. Let's keep getting to questions. Any updates on Tati? I'm sure that there are. I have not had a chance to look yet. Matt Bond said, I found this stream from Insta and I'm in Australia. Thanks, Matt. So Jen hasn't reported for jail yet. Jen is in federal prison and she is doing prison updates on her Instagram through her husband, which is interesting. So BravoCon, we will see. Fred and my prissy are twinning today. She's in my chair. This is a great blanket that a friend sent, and it is so soft and snuggly. I love it. So I will look for BravoCon dates. October 13th through the 16th. I need to get hotels. So same dates, basically. I'll be there. In what capacity? I don't know, but I will be there. So I'm not surprised Cass already got it. Great. We have dates. Why do I get texts 30 minutes after the live stream has started? Sarah, it might be your provider. We have been seeing that particularly T-Mobile texts have been going out late. It is very frustrating for me. That is why we are working on other solutions that we have a little more control over. Weird, Emily. It's like you want control. My whole life. So we are working on that. October 14th to 16th, Carla, it's fine. I will tell you this now, Law Nerds. I will figure out a meetup before and around the dates of BravoCon. So if you are in the New York, New Jersey, tri-state area, I will figure out a meetup prior to BravoCon. I will start working on that. I'm glad the dates are out. Thank you all for keeping me in the loop. I am so tired. I still don't get text, just emails. Luke's, it depends on where you are. The emails are reliable and consistent. The texts are only in the US, and we have another solution coming. Rust, why haven't they separated the cases? Wouldn't that be better for the defendants? I don't think at this point it would be better for the defendants. They might separate them down the road, but for the preliminary hearing, it's better for everybody to do them together. So that's why they're doing them together. For trial, maybe not, but for prelim, it is. KB, Phil DeFranco and I use the same text provider. And though he has a larger audience, larger subscriber number than I do, we aren't too different in the amount of text crew members we have. And that is the thing. We have a very, very busy and very active and highly engaged community here. So people are like, oh, your subscriber numbers are this. I'm like, you underestimate what percentage of these subscribers are active. It is a very high percentage of active subscribers. Emily, my 15-year-old daughter, just got into U of M and wants to do law. You're her inspiration. How? 15? That seems so young, but congratulations. Are we talking about University of Maryland? Is she going to be a Terp? My mom went to University of Maryland. My mom very much wanted me to go to University of Maryland. My mom loves Maryland. We are very active law nerds. We are. Phil is how I learned of this channel. That's fantastic. Phil is how I get most of my news. I found you from a Philly D shout out during Dep V Heard. Phil is such a generous creator. I never want to end up in one of his thumbnails though. Ever. YouTube goals. Don't be in a Phil DeFranco thumbnail. Or Michigan. Oh, it could be Michigan too. Yep. So let us know which U of M we all want to celebrate. Except for Rick Hogue. He only wants to celebrate if it's Michigan. I'm teasing. T-Mobile Communications was hacked big time. I don't know anything about that, but it is frustrating. Or Minnesota. Or Memphis. Will you be covering the Daybell case? I don't know yet. I have not decided yet. So I don't know yet. BravoCon and Comic-Con are the same time in the same place. They can't be the same time in the same place. BravoCon is in New York. So have you checked out the Delete Laws LOL suits? I have not. I've not even heard of that. Love a Friday stream. I love a Friday stream too. Found you via Phil on his Britney coverage. It was nice to get to do an interview with him and chat with him. A lot of you found me from H3. It's y'all find me from different cases or coverage, and I appreciate it. Did you know you can make thumbnails for YouTube Shorts now? I knew they were going to be rolling that out. I didn't know that it was rolled out. I'm glad. Because it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a very big problem. All right, let me get to some of our super chat questions and the rest of the community questions. Can we get Frank a cat jewel? I don't even know what that is. What is a cat jewel? I mean, yes, but yes, I love your cat in the background. I love it when he's chill. When the blanket's not on the chair, he's not chill. So we had a different blanket. A friend sent the purple blanket. Thank you, Brittany. And I love the purple blanket. I've been meaning to message Brittany back about the purple blanket. Love the purple blanket. I was curled up in it to do morning radio with Carson and Kennedy. And then I left it on the chair and Fred is like, oh, this is mine now. So, but it's going to be easier to wash than the other blanket I had on the chair. And I think it matches the aesthetic more. I think the white chair with the purple blanket is just better. I found you during Defi Heard on YouTube. Thank you. I'm here for all the drama. I'm here for all the legal drama too. I'm ready. Emily, do you say when someone joins your channel while being live? Not always, because we have lots and lots of members. Wait, New York Comic-Con is the same weekend as BravoCon? That seems like a terrible idea or an amazing idea. I mean, could we all just cosplay as housewives? That seems like it could be a mess. Okay. I wonder if it was the same last time and I just didn't know. Maybe it was, but there will be lots of people in town. Wait, what? Wait. Okay, maybe not. maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know how Fred will deal with that. Let's see. DD said, do you have any info on the Miley Hemsworth case? No, I don't, but I enjoy Miley. Defamation over music, right? It's going on the list. I'm actually writing it on the list. I love a music case. I love a food case. And I'm contemplating if we do Fridays, maybe doing Fridays as food court, like a food court Friday, I think would be really fun. I never included your clips and call outs in his latest video. I love it. For those of you that look, YouTube is such a funny little space where you stumble across things and you're like, wait, I didn't know these creators knew each other. And Inabber and I don't know each other. I've just, not that I wouldn't, I commented on the case and made a mention and then sent a link in a DM and was like, in case you want this case, here it is if you want to see it, because it's just it's so ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. And I enjoy other creators so much. So Spiritual Witness ESQ. That's perfect. Question, you or anyone going to watch Eurovision tomorrow? I don't know. I'm not. I've got a very busy weekend. I'm not, but I don't know if anybody else is. Welcome, Lisa. You once you're in the community, it's hard to leave. We have a lot of fun. So welcome and thank you. Jen, hi, you follow my brother on Instagram. We are fellow creators in LADMS. I actually live a block from Raquel, and she is an acquaintance. They have begun filming over here. I imagine, Jen, I will have to go take a look, and you are always welcome to email me if you want to email me the link. I would love to hear your experience with what you're seeing with filming. So thank you for the super chat, and my public email will get grabbed by my team so I can see it. Oh my God, this is literally 10 minutes from my house, the YouTube fraud star. It's a lot of houses, and they're going to be near a lot of people's houses. Greetings all from North Ireland. Hello. I keep fighting with my chair today. This feels like the right amount of headspace. I was too high earlier and too low now. Batol said, met with a civil lawyer. We ended up spending most of the time talking about you. Nice to meet a law nerd that I didn't make. Been here since before 30K. Make sure they don't bill you for the time talking about me. Don't bill your clients for chatting about my coverage. Thanks. Thanks so much. We do our own thing here and I love it. We have fun. Faye, thank you so much. Fred's Fred and he's worn out from his fuckery early in the week. My name is Karen said, I want to be at that police auction. I mean, they got some bougie ass cars going up for auction, don't they? Joe Jersey said, not Swedesboro. It's everywhere. Jordan said you wouldn't download a car. That's very fair. It's, people see stealing, digital goods and physical goods differently, even though legally it's the same, but people see it differently. Shane said this all happened after YouTube saw his life, just like housewives and other people who come into the spotlight. Shane, I agree with you. A lot of the Omni stuff, when people flaunt wealth, it definitely raises eyebrows, especially with the IRS. Question, can you please show us your new nails? Oh, I meant to do that on social and I forgot. Yes, they are pink. Hold on. They are inspired by the Holo Taco One Coat Chrome. The pink one is on my toes. It is fantastic. And so I wanted to find something that would go with this particular glitter to match, since I love a glitter nail. Lawnerd24 said, if the defense can't test the gun, does that throw the case out? No, because somebody tested the gun and they can cross-examine the person who did the testing. Nicholas, good to see you. It's Friday. Time to shave my ears, pluck my shoulders, and take the girlfriend on a date. Nicholas, you know that we have a coupon code. We have a code for Manscaped, and you don't have to do the plucking. You can just do the chopping. It's got the beard trimmer is fantastic. I use the lawnmower for Dr. B's neck. It's fantastic. And I use the weed whacker for my nose hair, his nose hair, and everybody else's nose hair. My kids are like, what are you doing? With my oldest one, I'm like, nose hair. Jessica said, so do you think AB will move to exclude the weapon from evidence? Can they? No, they can't. It will be a matter for cross-examination. And then when it goes to a jury, the jury will get to decide the weight. Question, did Baldwin pay for any settlements to the victim's family? I don't know if they did, Annie. Most of this is going to be covered by insurance, and he's in mediation over how much insurance is going to indemnify him. So I don't think he has paid anything out of his pocket that I have seen. B said, is that a tactic, waiving the 60 days? Not waiving the 60 days, I think, is more of a let's get moving. They just had a scheduling error, so they're waiving the 60 days just by a few days so that they can get that prelim started. But no, a lot of defendants aren't waiving time, and we're seeing this in Los Angeles and other places too, where defendants are like, no, if you filed this case and you're ready to go, go. And especially in prosecutorial agencies that are understaffed, it is causing cases to get dismissed. So not waiving time is absolutely a strategy. Are you covering Sarah Boone? I don't know yet. I have not been. Question, why haven't they separated the cases? We got a couple questions on that, and we talked about it a few minutes ago. Gia, will they have other actors who are witnesses to testify? I don't know. Does this mean Jensen will testify? Probably not at the preliminary hearing. And I imagine they wouldn't have anyone testify that was not in the set at that point. I want to know if they're going to have Dave Halls, who's already pled, testify. That's what I want to see. Harley said, my first comment ever. Welcome. I have got to stabilize this camera this weekend. That is, when I move, it moves. Like when I move my desk, yeah, we're gonna have to work on it. Sorry, camera. Been with you since I meant to do it this week, and then content got busy. Been with you since Depp. Sorry, not live right now, but I support a third stream week. Been out of work RN. You're like hanging with a friend that totally gets me. I do. That's how I feel about all of y'all. Jensen was on the witness list. I'm sure he is on the witness list, chat. I just don't think they're going to call him. I don't think they're going to call him. When I dip, you dip, we dip. Put my hand up on my hip. When I dip, you dip. Yeah, I'm going to get your. Okay, stop it. Emily, keep going. Host a CLE on Interweb Court for Lawyers. I really should. If there's any CLE providers that want me to host that, I will absolutely host a CLE on how to video for legal. Regular time or Creighton time. I think 2 weeks might be Creighton time, but we don't know with this DA yet. This court clearly isn't taking the fact that the law nerds just finished a 6-week trial into account. No, but it's kind of a perfect time. It's kind of a perfect time to do that in the beginning of May. We got a little downtime. K Strong, I'm taking the LSAT next month. Please wish me luck. K Strong, all of the luck. You have got this. Do not get in your head about it. Just practice and do it like you practice it. That is my best advice for taking the LSAT. Get sleep, not just the night before the test. You have to rest leading up to it. Brains need rest. I'm bad at this too. We're going to practice together. Good luck. Kimberly said, how do they come up with the amount of money to be awarded, charged? When you're looking at large federal prosecutions like that, they look at the amount of loss. So that is one of the big things that they look at.
Lewis, you absolutely can get a happy birthday. And I think we need to give you a happy birthday pickle. So happy birthday. Happy birthday. We still have to pick a name for the pickle. I don't know if we have time to do that today. Happy birthday.
I don't know if we have time to pick the pickle today. Maybe we'll pick the pickle on Tuesday. I think I will put up a poll. I'll put up a poll and solicit names for the pickle, and then we will do the runoff on Tuesday, because I have forgotten a lot of them. And I don't know if we're going, Fred, I don't know. You can always tell it's Fred with the white. George is all ginger. I don't know if we're going to go with like Poot the Pickle or Dilly Gaff. I don't know. We had a lot of really good names for the pickle before the trial. So we need to pick the pickle. We need to pick the pickle for sure. All right, let's keep going. Fred is in the background like, Mother, what are you doing? Oh, yes. He doesn't like the pickle. Do you know what he really hates? He really hates the screaming goat. He really hates the screaming goat. So I screamed the goat at him when he was trying to pull my camera down. But he does not. He looks at it like it's terrifying. Kentucky, this is a great question. What is the motion to disqualify? I covered the motion for disqualification. Oh, when did I cover it? I covered it on one of the most recent Rust podcast episodes. The defense is arguing that the special prosecutor cannot be the special prosecutor on the Rust case because they are also a legislature, and it violates the separation of powers in New Mexico, which is a really interesting part because they are wielding the power of the legislature and the judicial branch when they are a prosecutor. Different than Dick Harpootlian. Dick Harpootlian's a defense attorney and a legislature. Different thing than wielding the power of the government as a prosecutor and then writing that power into law as a legislature. It's a very interesting question, and I want to see that. In the chat, Kay Vaughn said, how long is a normal preliminary hearing? I mean, I've done preliminary hearings that have lasted 35 minutes. I've done preliminary hearings that have lasted 15 minutes. I've done preliminary hearings that have lasted 2 days. That is the outside for me. On a serious case, most might last a day. So a day in court time where I practiced would be 6 hours of witness testimony, roughly 4 to 6 hours of witness testimony. So 2 weeks is long. Does defaulting mean she is found guilty? Jacqueline, in this case, it's a civil case. So defaulting means she defaulted and is determined to be liable, and then they can issue a default judgment. So yes, but it's not a factual finding. It's a default finding. So the Uno reverse, I would love to see it. Wouldn't a spiritual witness be objection hearsay? I would try it. I think you can't even bring it in. She's weaponizing and monetizing the Streisand effect. Yeah, ad commit. She is. That's exactly what she's doing. Can I please tell you my experiences seeing BK in court in Pennsylvania? Kelly Howell, yes, my public email address is in all of my social handles and down below in the description of all of my videos at Semaphore Brands. My team grabs those. So just put in the title that it's experience from court and put it in so we grab it. The judge may use the reverse or skip card. I think the skip card is what's going to happen. Do you all play Uno? We love Uno at this house. We have Uno Attack. We have regular Uno. We take Uno with us to go. If we go to restaurants, if we go out to eat, we take card games with us. My kids are now at the point where my oldest has said we are now stacking. Uno with stacking is a whole different game when you can stack plus twos or skips or what have you. It's a lot of fun. So we have elevated our Uno games so that we can get into stacking. It is a whole different thing. And my kids are like, "Can we stack?" And I was just like, "Shh, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh." So it depends on the game. The first game we normally don't stack, and then we start stacking the second game, but our kids love Uno. We have not tried Uno Flip. Stacking is against the rules. You get to make the rules. You get to make the rules. So sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but they think it is so much fun and they think it is hilarious. The more people we have, the more fun. We went out to dinner with some of my kiddos' friends for his birthday, and we took them to one of our favorite restaurants. It was fun because they had never been to the restaurant where we went. And so we brought Uno with us, and it was a lot of fun playing with my youngest and then my oldest and two of his friends. I love that my kid's a band kid so much. I tried so early in life to not push my kids one way or the other. They have to find their own way. I feel like kids do so well when they find the thing that they dig. You can't make them like something if they're just doing it for your approval. Eventually it will burn out their little souls because it's not what they want to do. So when my kid said, "I want to do this," I was like, and his friends through that experience have just been just incredible kids, and I'm excited to watch them also grow as humans. It's just so much fun. So anyway, we got to play Uno with his friends, and it was great. Updates on Taylor Swift lawsuits soon. I'm sure there's updates. I don't know them. Again, trying to off ramp this trial and then on ramp. And there's more stuff with Murdaugh that we might need to cover next week because there's additional interviews and stuff with Creighton. And I think some of that is worth covering, and then we can finally be done. So I think there's some more. I think there's some more that we need to do. So, yep. TK said, "Happy Friday, all. We were adopted by a soon-to-be Pawnerd." I love that. He walked in and stayed. No chips, so I think that's legally binding. We named him Dionysus. I love that. I love that so much. So TK, congratulations on your Pawnerd that chose you. And if you tried to find where that Pawnerd belongs, I think it is. Beachcomber said exploding kittens is brilliant. We have exploding kittens. We also have unstable unicorns. We also have throw burrito, which is a lot of fun too. We also have the odd ones out game. What is it called? It's chaos something. And it is a really fun game. Like, of all of the YouTuber merch in the world, the odd ones out YouTuber stuff is so fantastic. I mean, odd ones out is now expanded beyond YouTube as well and has a show on, is it Netflix or Hulu? But their games are so much fun. I think James has made an incredible channel and content, and their merch, their games and stuff is so fun. Cafe Chaos, yes. It's so fun. It's so fun. Emily, do your kids still play Yu-Gi-Oh? Yes, they do. It's the only reason I get some of the references when other people are like, they activated their trap card. I'm like, I actually know what that means. Cheers. Cheers. Gooey Grant said, only need Friday streams when trials are happening. Don't want EDB or Dr. B to burn out. That's fair, though. If we do slightly shorter one topic streams, it might be easier down the road. I've got to think about it. But I like being here with you more days rather than less, and not trying to do as many topics so we can have a chance to chat at the end of the stream. Can you look into the TI Lol Dolls case? Yes. It might have to get listed with the My Poops case, because the My Poops case is next. Do you need a Judge Newman chair? Maybe, but this chair is very comfortable. This chair is very, very comfortable. Floof keeps putting you on. Well, Chantel is asleep. Floofy. I mean, I appreciate it. We're here. Gingy Prop said, motion to create a subgroup, Law Nerd Citizen Detectives, to discuss the upcoming second season of Yellow Jackets. I've missed my daily nerd interaction. I mean, we can figure that out. We can figure it out. I'm not asking the moderators to moderate anything else. So there's that. Bethany said, enjoying this Friday daytime stream. Miss the Friday evening night streams we used to have. I do too. And with all of it, with family life, the 11 a.m. streams work really well for me. Kay said, we need to redefine success in this country, EDB. We do. We do. When people are chasing having 100 cars or whatever it is, it leads everyone to be miserable. I don't know. I think there's a lot more room to define success in terms of things that aren't external to us. I really do. TX Doll said, been with you since Kanye contract. Thank you for everything. You're welcome. Any updates on Brad and Angelina? Not today. I have not. Again, I was going to do an update stream today, and I have not had time to prep it. So there is an update stream coming. I don't know what has updates and what doesn't, because I have not had time to go through all of the dockets. I do that research myself, so it can take some time. TikToker proves reason, not superstition. Correct. That is definitely something that is a big part of that case, I think. Shady Millennial said, suggestion regarding pickle naming. Have 4 law nerds represent the top 4 name options, and each can argue their hearts out during Friday food court, and then you judge. That's fun. That's fun. We'll see. Can you appeal a default? You can do a motion to set aside a default, Cynthia. It's a great question. Motion to set aside the default, and that's what they're doing now. So that's what's being done. P.S. I love you said, I actually like Emily joining Rob, Ian, Peter's streams on Friday, except tonight because I have to work really early tomorrow. I enjoy it too. And it's nice to be able to pop around and not have y'all expect it and then have to deal with the scheduling issues or travel issues. So it's easier for me to do these daytime streams and then pop in when I have time. Emily, have you ever played Killer Bunnies? No, but it sounds fun. Thank you for making me and my paw nerd less lonely. We're here for you, Cindy. This community is amazing for that. And I enjoy our daily chats as well. Catherine said, my daughter is doing winter guard as well. In a senior guard, she's 27. It's for life. It is, and that's amazing. Enjoy. There's times I've been tempted. I miss doing guard myself. Taco Cat goat cheese pizza is hysterical to play. Goat cheese pizza sounds delicious. Emily, it's that time of the stream when you start getting hungry. Yes. Odd Ones Out has a show on Netflix. It is Netflix. Thank you, Dervis. My kid's been watching it. I love the Odd Ones Out. It was a channel my kids came across and they were like, this. And I was like, oh, I love it so much. I love the storytelling. I love the animation. I love that my kids now call Subway Subaway. It's just absolutely fantastic content. And the art of storytelling is just so good. I love a channel that can tell a great story. It's just so good. Question, sorry, playing catch up. What is the Streisand effect? Mary, Barbara Streisand, I believe this is how my brain remembers it. Chat, please correct me if I'm wrong. I get wrong with things. But Barbara Streisand had a photo of her home that was taken from like Google Images, like way up above, like home on a cliff somewhere. And she made a really big deal out of getting the photo taken down off of Google Images. But because she made a big deal about removing the thing, more people's attention was drawn to the thing. So when you're like, I don't want attention drawn to this thing, and you draw more attention to the thing, is the Streisand effect. I'm sure that Urban Dictionary something has a more concrete definition of the Streisand effect, but it's trying to not bring attention to a thing, therefore bringing more attention to the thing. So the objecting, she doth protest too much, bringing the attention to the thing. It's like when Khloe Kardashian had those pictures that one of her team members posted, and then she went around the internet trying to get them taken down, and then everybody was just like, for crime's sake said not Google, but Coastal Records Project. So they said, oh, this is here, and it brought all the attention. Jordan said, like Beyonce allegedly trying to get a photo of herself removed from the internet, and the internet was like, oh, you mean this one? Say yes. It happens across so many different communities when somebody's like, ooh, take it down. And then everybody's like, what were you trying to take down? What was the thing? And then it brings much more attention to it, and it blows the thing up when somebody's trying to maybe quiet the thing down. The internet. So that is the Streisand effect. Question, made a Fred swipe. Can I send it to you? Absolutely. Send it to the email. Again, everything through the email inbox, we'll see it. Even if I don't get to respond, we see it. Chris is like, not everything to the inbox, please. Send it to my public email. If you send it to the Law Nerd Alert reply, we will not see it. And Nightbot will yeet it. Have you seen the storm brewing about the Canadian chef? Oh, Emily, try this again. The Canadian Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and some guy in Arizona? No, I have not. I'll ask Ian about that. Y'all, I was at the grocery store last week, this week. Time is a construct. I don't remember. Our grocery store now has Clearly Canadians back in stock. And I remembered where I fell in love with fizzy water. It was Clearly Canadian in the 90s. It was Clearly Canadian in the 90s when I fell in love with fizzy water. Because I also have a love for, convenience stores and gas stations, because anyone who loves snacks, I think, does. It was Clearly Canadian. It was Clearly Canadian. I will take a look at the Canadian Supreme Court thing. I want to, is Runkle covering it? I'll go take a look. My partner passed last week. Your chat and channel entertained me throughout the tears. Thank you. You're welcome. Losing a partner is a very specific type of devastation that changes your day. It really, really is. EDB, do you currently have or willing to make a video live on how you get all the things done with the family and ADHD? You're a machine. I'm not a machine. I do not get all the things done. Let me make this very clear. Han Gawkeye. I do not get all the things done. I have a team and I have help and I ask for help, and I know the things that I do not do well, and I ask for help with those things first. Email is one of the things I don't do well. I get lost in it. I have a team member that goes through the emails and brings the thing I need to my attention first, so we can prioritize the things I have energy for. I prioritize my time based on my energy. When I have more energy, when I have less energy, and the things I need to get done most. I do not get things done until I am asked like 5 or 6 times. It is awful. I do not go on social media when I do not have time to just fuck around and find out, because I will get lost on social media too. So I have timers on all of my social media on my phone. So I have those set in a fairly restrictive way so that I don't see it. So if I'm on, I deleted Twitter off of my phone, but Twitter was one of the ones that I could scroll for quite a bit and read things and then go down rabbit holes and comments and whatever. So if I'm covering something where I need Twitter alerts, or there's a storm or something and I want Twitter alerts from Nashville severe weather, and I put Twitter back on my phone, I have a timer set and the screen will go blank when I hit my time limit. And then I actually have to enter a code to get back into the thing, which pauses the reaction. And I go, oh, do I need to get back on this? So if I'm unconsciously scrolling, it's a blockade. I do that with social media to block it. It is a work in progress of what is hard for me, and where I get lost. So the timer, hold on. This is on iPhone. If you are not on an iPhone, I don't know what it is called, but iPhone takes most of their good ideas from other places. So I'm sure there is another one. Let me go into my settings and see exactly what it's called. Migalina probably knows. Migalina, has probably already told me what it's called. Do you know exactly what I'm talking about? I just forget the name of it on iTunes, or on the iPhone. Let's see, it's part of your screen time. So you can set app limits on your screen time. So if you go into your screen time settings, there is something called app limits, and you can set limits for particular apps for how long you can be on them in a total day. And so you can go and set those. I find them very, very helpful. I took the things off my phone that sucked the most energy, and I did that in the most time. I did that by really looking at my screen time in my phone. So when you go to your phone, you can look in your battery settings or in screen time and see how much time you're spending in particular apps. And so I went to find where my time was leaking, because with time blindness, I don't know how much time I'm spending on apps. So I need that physical blockade of stop looking at your phone right now, or stop being on Instagram, or stop being on Twitter, or whatever. So that you can do it with email or whatever other app might take your time and attention. So what else? We can talk about this more in other Q&As too. I don't know if I would do anything on this channel about it. I'm definitely not an expert in ADHD. I'm just someone who lives with it and is trying to find the best way. But I have help, and I ask for help, and I ask for my spouse's help, and I remind him of the things that are hard for me. And I set a lot of timers if I'm doing laundry, so I don't forget it in the washing machine, to not move it to the dryer, things like that. And I try to set up routines. So with all of that, I try my best and I ask for help. I start with the things that I hate the most in asking for help. Email was a huge time suck and I hated it. That's the thing I asked for help with first in my team. The next was editing. Editing is hard for me and I can get too perfectionist about it. And so having my amazing editors for both the podcast and videos made it a huge weight off my shoulders to be able to get that to them. So I went by the things that were hard and then I asked for help with them. It takes practice to ask for help. There are times that it is very frustrating because you're like, I could have just done this myself. Yes, you could have just done it yourself. You could have stayed up till 3 a.m. and stressed yourself out or whatever and done it yourself. But asking for help requires a little bit of letting go. And that's why I ask for help with the things I hate the most first and the things that are hardest for me first. Because there are people who love doing the things that I am not good at. And even if there are people that don't love for them, there are people who are good at it. And then you have to trust, and it is a process, but it is so worth it. So start with app limits because that's something you don't have to offload to somebody else. Start with app limits. So it is, I see the chat talking about it. Delegating is very hard. Jay of the North said hiring people, aka asking for help, is a little elite. When you are neurodivergent, you have to ask for help. I don't see it that way because you have to ask for help. And not all of my asking for help is outsourced from my team. Some of it's asking my kids for help. Some of it's asking my spouse for help, but you have to ask for help. Some of it's asking for psychological support from my therapist and asking for help. There are lots and lots of ways to ask for help. Some of it is asking someone who else is ADHD, hey, how do you manage this? And just like Han Gok, I asked, how do you manage this? I'm not going to tell you that I do everything myself because it's just not true. There were places in my life where I had to do everything myself and I ran myself into the ground. So I am not going to ever tell you I don't have help where I have help. It's just not true. And it sets an expectation that people can do it all themselves. I do not do it all myself. And I don't want to ever set that expectation because I don't want people to feel like, how am I not getting this done? Because this is what I did to myself too. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me that I can't get this done? Asking for help can be as simple as asking someone else, hey, how do you set that up? Or what do you do with this? Just like this question. So I think normalizing asking for help, it does not have to be paying someone to do a thing. It's normalizing asking the people around you for help. And that sometimes is just saying, I have ADHD. It's hard for me to text you back. It doesn't mean I don't love you. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember. So if you will just tap me again if I haven't responded, I'd really appreciate it because in my brain, I might have responded to that text and never sent it to you. And I don't want my friendship with you to suffer. So sometimes asking for help is just saying it. I don't think as humans we were ever meant to do this thing called life alone. And we don't always have the people around us physically to do it. But we can reach out digitally and ask for support. We can ask other people how they do that. We can ask people, hey, I only check my email twice a week, so you're going to have to know that this is what I do. Boundaries are important in that, and sometimes boundaries feel like too big of a step. So asking for help becomes the thing. So for me, running a company, I do hire help. But hiring help in my company looks like I have a team that I adore and care for, and they're not commuting. So when they support their family, they have more time for themselves too, because they're not having to commute to a job that they hate. And so that's a huge part of being able to hire people out. But I appreciate the comment so much because that's what keeps us from asking for the help we need. People saying, well, who do you think you are to ask for help with this? I think I'm someone who's neurodivergent and needs help with this. And I don't think normalizing asking for help. If I broke my leg, I would seek help. I would. We normalize that kind of help. If I'm sick, I'll go to the doctor. If I can't text back my friends because sometimes it's just too hard, I'm going to tell them that instead of being ashamed of it. So sometimes asking for help just looks like communicating. And sometimes asking for help looks like actually asking for help. Sometimes it's just asking my spouse to help me make sure I get laundry done because it feels overwhelming because I haven't done it in like 6 weeks. And I'm like, shit, I really am all the way out of underwear and buying more is not the responsible option. Can you please help me remember to do laundry because I need to get it done? Sometimes it's letting my parents know, hey, can you remind me that I need to book plane tickets so we can come see each other? There are so many ways to ask for help. That doesn't mean that you are hiring someone to help you, but I have no problem hiring people who are doing the thing that I cannot do, because then I'm supporting them in what they're doing. They are supporting me in what I'm doing. And sometimes in a community, mutual support looks like hiring people to help you. I hire people to help me dye my hair and do my eyebrows. I'm bad at that shit, but I'm here to do this. This is the shit that I'm good at. And I don't find supporting people to be a problem. But we do need communities, and we need to build communities in person. And we've gotten so kind of detached from that. You used to be able to just go over to your neighbor's house and ask for a cup of sugar, or to ask, hey, can you watch my kids for a few minutes? Or can we do this together? We used to have more community and physical community in person. We were always meant to have physical community. We were never meant to do all the things that we were trying to do by ourselves. We're not meant to be alone. So sometimes it's reaching out to the community here and saying, I'm struggling today, you guys. Thank you for being here to just chat with me. And sometimes it's asking someone to remind you to do a thing. My team reminds me a lot to do a thing. But I want to normalize having help. And I never want to say that I do it all, because I cannot do it all. I have tried, I have failed, and then I felt ashamed about it. So I ask. So with all of that, I'm going to get to a few more super chats. Y'all, it's okay. And it's hard. And neurodivergence goes with depression so much. And that shame weighs so heavily sometimes that it really is hard to even say, hey, I just couldn't do this. It's not about you. And to just normalize even saying that you're neurodivergent to the people in your life and that these things are hard for you. That is a hard step. It's gotten much more comfortable for me to say, okay, so with the ADHD, this is very hard for me. I'm trying, but also it would help me if you would, if you can. And that's just open communication for me. Frank said, fast forwarding to say, Fred does not want a cat, Jewel, trust me. Okay. Okay. He likes all the catnip though. We'll do that. Jay said, big fan. By chance, are you going to cover Heard's lawsuit? Yes. 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 That got bumped from this week to next week. I've been covering it. So you'll see there's content here. I'm going to be covering the updates with the insurance lawsuit soon. Very soon. So thank you all. We are going to have to wrap up. I see you guys sending super chats. Thank you. But I'm going to be wrapping soon. So if you send them after this, I might not be able to get to them. Emily Outdoors said, your transparency about ADHD led me to my own diagnosis. And I feel like for the first time in forever, okay, I'm able to understand my brain. Thank you. And that's why we talk about it. That's the only way to understand it, is to continue to talk about it and to continue to talk about the way that we deal with it. And I think that that's really, really important. Lawn Lumber, it's good to see you, friend. Can confirm, I wish more than anything my brain worked completely normal. I don't think it's normal. I think we're all on different operating systems. So I'm going to challenge you to say neurotypical. Here's how I feel about that. Hold on. I was going to go, but now I'm not. I am going to have to go soon because I do have a phone call and I don't want to miss it. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Brains have different operating systems. This is just me. This is a hypothetical. I am not a neuroscientist. I am just a neurodivergent girl with neurodivergent kids. But I really think that brains just have different operating systems. And what we see as neurotypical, I don't like the word typical, but what we see as neurotypical are the people who really like setting up order in systems and stuff. And that is one operating system, call it operating system, Omega. Operating system Omega really likes setting up structures. Okay. But some of the neurospicy operating systems are like, that's boring. I want to go paint or run or leap or see what gravity is about. And so neuro operating system, I don't want to say alpha because that sets it apart, but Zeta or whatever is like, I want to go do these other things because they are fun and I am highly motivated by novelty. So let me go explore forever this one thing. And then I'm going to tell you that gravity exists. So while one of the neuro processing systems was like setting up schools and structures and what have you, the other one was like deciding what gravity was and exploring things and doing creative endeavors. They are two different operating systems. But then when the operating system that was more prevalent was like, everybody should do it this way, the neurodivergent folks went, well, shit, I don't do it that way. But also we're busy doing other things. So we never set up those structures. So those structures weren't set up by us for us. And that's hard because then we try to fit ourselves into other people's structures that we never bought into. I never agreed to that structure. I never agreed to having a whiteboard in class that gave me fucking migraines all the time because I have light sensitivity. Why do you put awful overhead lights in classrooms? Because there aren't windows, because people who weren't light sensitive set them all up. But for the few of us that are light sensitive, we just think there's something wrong with us because we don't fit in the structure that weren't set up for our brain types. It's not normal versus not normal. It is operating system DOS versus Mac versus Windows. And we just operate differently. And if you try to operate, you know, a Linux system or a Unix system the way you try to operate a Mac, it's not going to work. And then we all beat ourselves up because we don't fit in to a system that we didn't create. So we're just different operating systems. And we need to figure out a way that all the operating systems can harmonize together and not just let the operating system that has the most people in it set up all the stuff. Also, if people with ADHD tried to set up schools, we would need to ask for help of those who are non-ADHD so we wouldn't lose interest midway through. That's just a fact. Kit Kat, thank you for this. Super chat, that's incredibly generous. I have ADHD as well. I always feel guilty asking for help. Same Z's. I feel like I should be able to do all the things all the normal moms can do and not use my ADHD as an excuse. It's not an excuse. Thank you for being so open about your experiences with ADHD. You're welcome. It's not an excuse, but I can tell you that it feels like shit sometimes. The first day of kindergarten, some of you have heard this story, and then I'm going to have to take a call. But the first day of kindergarten, I showed up to take my kid to the first day of kindergarten. The first day of kindergarten at our school district at the time involved going to class with your kid and learning the classroom rules and showing them around, and then you take them home. It's literally like a 1 or 2 hour day or whatever. All of the parents had 2 big shopping bags full of shit. I had nothing in my hands. I had been in trial running up to the beginning of kindergarten. I was all emo about the fact that I had to fight to get time off to go to do the kindergarten thing for the day. And everybody has stuff. And I'm like, why does everybody have stuff? So we get in the classroom and sit down. Hey, you have bags of stuff. They're like, oh yeah, it's the classroom supply list. What now? It's the classroom supply list. What classroom supply list? And then this parent who was trying to help walked me through the elaborate process to find this shit on the school website that I didn't know existed because nobody told me it was there. I didn't know. I didn't know I was supposed to go look for a fucking supply list. How am I supposed to know that? Who tells you these things? Who tells you there's a supply list for the first day of kindergarten? Shouldn't there be an email? What? It's buried under parent information on a website that's impossible to read, that's like 4 columns deep. I was pissed. By my second kid, I knew. But I just wasn't told. And I had no way to know. And it made me feel so other and so outside and so embarrassed and inept. It just made me feel awful. But I did not know, and I did not know where to look, and it was not my fault. And guess what? It's fine to bring it in the next day or whatever. But I felt so bad about it. And some of that is like, oh, why can't I do this? And it's not that I can't do it. I can do certain things very, very well, but I can't do all the things. None of us can do all the things. And no one is doing all the things. No one is. There is no one doing all the things. there's something that's not doing. You might not see it, but there's something that's not being done. So Kit Kat, it's not you. And ADHD is something that we need to learn to work with. And it's not an excuse asking for, hey, sometimes you got to bump me if I don't text you back. It's a quirk. It's a quirk of me. Those are things that are quirky. And I think open communication is fair. So I think it's totally fair, but it can make us feel really bad. Rain said, thank you for being here with us on a regular basis. Right now, you and the Law Nerds are all I really have in the way of community. I can't thank you enough for just kind of being here. That's what this community is for. And that's one of the reasons we are trying out 3 days a week, because I love being in the middle of these conversations. My cat's name is Karen said, I've been arrested at my kid's middle school. That would have been a difficult experience, I imagine. But at least they're in middle school. I mean, middle schoolers are differently interested, I think. Poison Elf. Thank you. I was reading that wrong. Thank you for the super chat. Redefine Queen. Thank you for your transparency. I have ADD and this was really helpful and encouraging. You're welcome. You're welcome. And I appreciate when people ask like, hey, how do you do it? I will always tell you exactly what I do. Always tell you exactly what I do. So EDB, I do video editing and love law. Can I work for you? Nikki, we have an editor at the moment, but you are always welcome to send information to my email. If there is something you see that you want to help with, just let us know and we will see. We are always expanding Team Baker. Mike said, EDB, do you know your schedule for next week? No, because I haven't had time to sit down and think about it. And that's what I need. I need time to think. Kelsey said, I took today off. So really nice to not feel guilty watching you instead of reading emails. You don't feel guilty. Rest is needed. It's something I'm learning too. I always feel guilty about it, but I don't. My brain will not reset if I don't take time to rest. Sheila said, I am the same way with dealing with the school. They just give me the information to help you directly. I asked Dr. B to take it over because it got to be too much. And Dr. B is like, I'll take it over. And there was some learning curve to it. He's like, why are there so many emails? I'm like, cheers, buddy. Thanks so much for dealing with the school emails. I can't do this anymore. And I'm lucky to have a partner that can, and to have a partner that will, and to have a partner. So we can ask for help in our communities, with our friends, and even with our technology so that it works the best for us. With that, keep making the world work for you, folks. We don't need to fit our, square pegs into round holes. We get to ask. And if you don't ask, you don't know. And I have very rarely bumped into not being accommodated when I have clearly asked for what I needed. Hey, can I bring a lamp into my office? Yeah, sure. Can I turn off all the lights? Yeah, sure. Nobody's ever asked. Great. Thanks. My Griffin did this in preschool. Hey, can we turn the lights in the classroom off? There's windows. I mean, he would just walk up and turn off the lights. And they're like, Griffin, do you want the lights on? He's like, no. And the other kids were like, okay. And they just left the windows open so that it was natural light instead of overhead light. We just have to find ways to ask our technology, our community. And if all else fails, there is Fiverr. There is Fiverr. You can find the help that you need. And this community is here too, with tips and tricks and experiences and life. And with that, I have got to go because I have a couple calls. And if I miss them, I will feel guilty. And I need to get a little bit of food and go to the bathroom before I do that. So I've got to go take care of me so I can get on my next call instead of just over talking. And with that, all of you, thank you for my rant on neurodivergence. I appreciate that you are all here for it. Thank you, Law Nerds, for being such an amazing community. It is my intention to have a quick bits for you out on Monday, then to stream on Tuesday, to have a podcast on Wednesday, and we'll see from there. My family plans are not set for next week, but we have some family time that we are going to take after this trial is over. So there will be a little bit less next week, but there will be some pre-recorded content to fill in some of those gaps. So with that, where's my outro? Where did I put it? Where have I hidden it? I've hidden it away from myself. There it is. All right. With that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.
You can find all the Law Nerd goodies at lawnerdshop.com. Connect with me on social media at the Emily D. Baker. And don't forget to check out my podcasts, The Emily Show and the new podcast, Quick Bits, summarizing everything I talk about on my Tuesday and Thursday live streams. You know, when you only have time for just the quick bits.